Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be talking about 10 of the most boring commanders. Now this is going to be my personal thoughts. I will say that straight off the bat. It's my personal thoughts. These commanders to me are boring. They either, stop other people playing the game, or they're just really kind of boring to build around in my opinion. Or they just don't really do much besides just do everything better, which personally I'm not a huge fan of. Again, this is going to be my own personal opinions. You guys can agree with them or not. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Obviously, I don't mean this to be personal attacks against anyone who runs these commanders, but we'll see. So the first one here is going to be Alish Norm. So this is the Alish Norm Grand Cenobite, I don't know how to pronounce that. She's going to have vigilance. She's going to make it so that your other creatures you control get +2/+2, and creatures your opponent control get -2/-2. And that's all she does. She just makes all your stuff better, all the enemy stuff's worse, and that's it. Personally, I just find her really boring. I don't think she's a great deck to kind of build around. Not many people kind of build around her, luckily. It's kind of, she's in more than 99 kind of thing. But, she's just makes all of your shitty tokens better, and that's really it. It kind of reminds me of just basically having a built-in version that's slightly better as well of the inspiring leader background. So she's just going to give everything that you've got +2/+2, everything enemies got -2/-2. You can see the way people are building her, just chuck out a lot of different stuff, just even kind of double down on it with Krovax here. I'm just not a huge fan of this, just kind of, going better, like just doing this way. There's a lot of different commanders that I can find that do, tokens better, that do, destroying the enemy stuff better. I'm just not a huge fan of it. Let me know if there's something more interesting that people have done with it. Let me know. But from looking at this, most people are just create a whole bunch of tokens and then this buffs them up, which I just like the commander, like the inspiring leader, so much better for that. Next up is Sheoldred. Just punish everyone who draws cards, and you just gain more life from drawing cards. I don't know. I don't like this too much. Just make everyone kind of draw cards, and then just punish people for having their turn, because it's not even like when they draw the second card or anything like that, they lose life. It's just whenever they draw their first card. Again, just a character that's kind of based around just making everyone draw cards and everything, which is interesting in itself. But I think that there's just better commanders for making people draw cards that are more interesting, not necessarily better. Again, these cards aren't necessarily weak or anything. They're relatively strong, but they're also relatively boring in my opinion. And Sheoldred kind of is a character that kind of doubles down on that. Just, everyone, whenever you draw a card, you're taking damage. I find that boring. Next up is Avacyn. So Avacyn, Angel of Hope here. So she is just, purely around just whenever she's out, giving everything indestructible. All of your permanents are going to have indestructible. She's indestructible as well, because why not? If you're building her, she's just, I think there's more interesting angel commanders. Even Giada, who I don't think is super interesting, is still more interesting. And, because of the fact that everything has indestructible, you can see what people are doing. Just going permanently destroying everything. Just destroy. Look at this. From her top 10 synergy cards here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are destroy everything. 6 to cleansing Nova as well. Obviously, you're still susceptible to people exiling your stuff, but the fact that she just makes everything indestructible, I find, boring. There's nothing to really play around, nothing to kind of have fun with there. It's just, you can't touch me unless you're exiling stuff, rather than being able to destroy it and making yourself immune to a lot of different kind of board wipes and stuff. All right, we've got Alloro. Alloro is basically Eminence prior to Eminence existing. So you get to gain at the beginning of your upkeep. If he's in the command zone, you're gaining life. So this is just, again, another example of a boring character. People just build it around life gain, because you can just gain life. You don't even need to cast your commander here. Eminence, in my opinion, is one of the worst things that they ever added in. I hate Eminence. I think that it could be amazing. Don't get me wrong. I think Eminence could be amazing if there was like, you know, if it was more balanced and there was some kind of downsides to it as well. Like, you know, maybe when he's in the command zone, the Eminence is, you know, one thing, and then if it's on the board, then it's more of a positive, but if it's in the command zone, then it's potentially kind of slightly negative or something. I don't know. There's lots of cool stuff they could potentially do with Eminence, but so far, you know, there's not all that much. Alloro is like the key example of this, just purely built around life gain and stuff. Like, just, you know, from here, you can just make it so that whenever you gain life, you can just purely destroy people. I'm not a huge fan of this. And I find it, again, just a kind of boring thing. Like, just, look, my commander exists. He exists on the board in the command zone. I'm not even casting him, and I'm gaining life from turn 1. Next up, we've got Deri. Deri, Imperial Tactician here. Whenever he enters the battlefield or a creature you control deals combat damage, you get to tap or untap permanents. So you can just tap everything, or you can untap your stuff. But the part that I don't like about this is this part here as well. Just being able to bypass command attacks. You can just cast this and just put him on the battlefield from the command zone. Even if he dies once, then, you know, he should be costing 2 colorless and then his normal cost, but he's not going to, because he's just passive here, just being able to do this. It's like this is a more balanced, you know, a more balanced Eminence at least, but I still am not a huge fan of it because it just bypasses that command tax altogether. And yeah, you just can chuck out a whole bunch of different stuff and be able to untap all your stuff, tap all the enemy stuff, and I don't know, tapping and untapping. I find is a boring gameplay. Maybe other people disagree with me. But if you're going to build it around something fun, then sure. But I don't think many people are going to be building this around something fun. Next, we've got Finn. I hate this. Finn is going to make it so that whenever your death touch creatures deal combat damage to a player, they get poison counters. Poison overall is a very, very frustrating mechanic, and I don't like it. I admittedly, when you've got, you know, a full group of people, then it's a lot better. But, you know, giving like your 1/1 like flying stuff death touch, or, you know, there's a lot of like kind of weak death touch things that are, well, not weak, I should say, like low cost death touch things that are pretty easy to be able to cheat out. Like, look at this. Look at these high synergy cards here. All of them are like very, not like very cheap, only 1 cost or 2 cost here. And you can just start stacking up the poison counters on people straight away and be able to kind of just get rid of people pretty quickly. And then, you know, you can even add in like an evolution sage to be able to kind of get rid of it. In regards to poison, he's probably the commander that I hate the most in regards to it, because he's just makes it so you can cheat it out so quickly with the death touch and stuff. Next up, we've got a Traxa, Praetor's Voice. It's just at the end of your end step, proliferate. Let's just chuck a whole bunch of keywords on her. Let's just chuck proliferate on her. And now you're going to build it something boring. Most people are building it. Look, this is Infect and Planeswalkers, +1/+1s. Sagas is a fun way. I think that Saga's a lot more fun way to be able to build her up. But, you know that people aren't building her around that. It's just super friends, people going super friends with Planeswalkers or Infect. And again, we know, as I said with Finn here, Infect is boring, which, you know, Infect is basically the poison. It's very, like, it's the same thing where you get the poison counters onto it with the Infect stuff there. And again, I am just not a huge fan of that. And then to just have proliferate based on just ending your turn, personally, I just find it incredibly boring gameplay and a boring commander. There's like, you know, if I want to go Infect, I think that there's just more interesting commanders in there. Not that I'd go that. If they want to go Planeswalkers, there's more interesting stuff there that you could potentially go. Lots of really cool stuff. The most annoying Eminence commander. Edgar, just for existing anywhere in the command zone or battlefield, just gets to create a +1/+1. And that's it. Just create a vampire straight off the bat from just existing in the command zone. Look, here he is. He's just pumping out their stuff. You know, this is like an enchantment. This is a permanent enchantment that you can't get rid of. And then, you know, when he comes out, he's also going to be able to give the +1/+1 counters out whenever he attacks. And because of the fact that they'll have an army of vampires, because it's taken a while to be able to get him out, or, you know, whatever, you're just going to have a whole bunch of +1/+1s coming out onto all of those vampires. That is then going to pump out more vampires as well, just for existing whenever you cast another vampire. So, you know, you cast a vampire, and it's not even once per turn either. Like, it's not even once per turn. So if someone's cast, you know, 2 vampires, 3 vampires, or whatever in a turn, because they've got a whole bunch of mana spare, then they're also just creating all these vampire tokens here. It's going to be an insane amount of vampires coming out. And it's just, you know, again, I find it boring. They also, you know, I don't know, vampires overall have a lot of kind of lifelink and stuff like that, so he's going to buff those up, as you can see, like, you know, life gain being his second most built around thing there. So we've got Urza. So the reason I've got Urza on here is because of the way people build him, which is just go for the frozen orb and stuff. The frozen orb itself and combined with Urza is just a shitty strategy, in my opinion, which is what, you know, the main reason that he's on here. If you're building him around something else, sure, I'd love to see it, and I'd love to see what you're kind of building that around, and how you're kind of building him up and everything. But when people are building him around stacks and stuff, then I hate stacks. Like, I hate stacks that you can't kind of get out of or work around and stuff, and having all of your stuff with the, let's see, where's Frozen Orb, just so I can show you. Oh, Winter Orb, not Frozen Orb, Winter Orb here. Making it so that, you know, people can't untap their stuff, just locking them out of the game. Locking someone out of the game is just not fun. You know, if you wanted to go, like, EDH or something like that, locking people out of the game, perfectly fine strategy and everything, really great strategy, I'm sure, but in a fun kind of game around the table and stuff, I think that, you know, locking people out of that game is going to be potentially not getting you invited back. And then the final one here is Voren Klex, Monstrous Raider. So this is specifically the Voren Klex Monstrous Raider. He's going to make it so that you get twice as many counters whenever you add counters. Enemies get half as many counters. Again, you know, people can build this around Planeswalkers, which is fun and interesting, I find. And I find that would be a very interesting design. However, you know, +1/+1 counters is where he just kind of becomes unfun. There's, you know, other characters like the new Sovereign Architect or something like that, which I think is way more interesting for a counters deck or something. You know, in the 99, sure, Voren Klex is definitely a great option in there, but as a commander, so that way you're able to just have it available all the time and you don't have to rely on kind of drawing him or tutoring him out, then I think that he's just personally a very boring one. And, you know, if you go infect with Voren Klex, then I don't think that's a great idea. As I said, like, I think that Planeswalker is a very interesting design with him and kind of doubling up on those and stuff. But even then, like, halving the amount of counters that other people get is just not fun. I don't know. To me, it's not fun, but maybe you guys disagree with me. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think of my list here of my most boring commanders. Let me know if there's something you think should have been on this list, or you think that something here is more interesting if you build it a certain way. I think that, you know, all of them can definitely be built in a very interesting way that's not kind of relying on a gimmick to just make them insanely overpowered or, you know, just unfun. But maybe, you know, let me know. Hope you guys had a great day. If you have a deck list that makes something fun out of these, let me know as well. Have a great day and goodbye.